Hi everyone, I'm Creasy Woodard and I am going to present my lesson plan here for you all, and hopefully it's much better than my original one. And the title of this lesson is Understanding Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. My boys are a big fan of Alexander and have been for a very long time. Even though they're beyond this reading level, they still relate to Alexander and think of him fondly. We have all the books, but I really like this one, so I've chosen it for this third grade ELA lesson. It should be about 50 minutes long, and the standards and indicators that I have selected and I've highlighted here are to interpret and analyze the author's use of words, phrases, and then how their relationships shape meaning in print of this book. And then to explain how the author's choice of words, illustrations, combine to create mood and contribute to the meaning of what's going on here in the story. So my learning objective is, by the end of the lesson, students will be given a choice to complete a graphic organizer, which is the Frayer model, or a semantic gradient at 100% accuracy as measured by a teacher checklist. Students that have an IEP will be accommodated for as stated in their IEP. And I stated here, see further accommodations listed under diversity for student learning. I want to be specific to the student's IEP. That way, if there's any specific accommodations listed there, I would have liked to have listed them here under the learning objective. And I have created a pre-assessment checklist for the whole class discussion about the words and phrases uses. I'll get further into that. And then formative assessment is the turn and talk to discuss Alexander, Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. And that's more of an observation. And then I've got here students will discuss and share what it might mean to have a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day in their own words. Sorry, excuse me here. And then giving an example. It says here, then they will be ready to discuss their examples when they're called upon to do so. So it's like their share. And then students will also analyze the illustrations in the text to share their interpretations of their meaning or mood. So I would like that to be a student-led kind of thing where I just sort of facilitate, and I have questions listed that will help in doing that. And then I have 3 assessments here for the summative, and that's the Frayer model, the semantic gradient, and the exit ticket at the end of the lesson. So that's what I have there. And the differentiation, I'd like to offer some options for the content, and I want to show them the YouTube video that I have listed, and it's a little further down. And then this Read With Me DVD, like I said, my boys are a big fan of this. Now, this is very obsolete at this point. It comes with a crazy kind of remote that works with DVD. I still think I can incorporate this in the lesson somehow to get the technology to work together, but this has lots of activities and things available on it that can help to expand on the learning. So I'd like to include this. And that belongs to my son. He still loves it. And so I want to offer that as an option if needed. And then responses can be given orally for the Frayer model and the semantic gradient and I got ticket to leave here, but I mean exit ticket, as needed. So I will take oral responses if that's what the student needs. And here, early finishers may write a short journal entry about Alexander and his day. And just a suggestion, they might want to consider what they would have done to help Alexander to have a better day. So to suggest maybe if they could be a friend to Alexander, maybe encourage him. Just something some different things to kind of write about in their journals. And I'd like students to have a classroom journal in my classroom. And I have said here, lesson will be differentiated to accommodate students. If needed, as noted in the IEP or 504 plan, modifications will also be made as needed, as you can see here. And I'd like to also include the assistive technology and make that available in use of this DVD and whatever YouTube videos and things like that. And you can see here how I've grouped students, whole class discussion at the beginning, then in pairs for the turn and talk discussion, and then, of course, the summative assessments will be given individually, and the students will also complete the ticket to leave or the exit ticket right at the end before they leave for the day. So I really feel confident about these assessments. And here are the materials and resources that are needed, and checklists I will show you in just a moment. And I've also created the other worksheets and such. The exit ticket, however, I'm only going to require that the students take out a sheet of notebook paper and write exit ticket at the top. And of course they'll have their journals. It says here, yep, assistive technology available, as stated in their IEP or 504, but I may still have them available for use. And here you can see the brainstorming they do, graphic organizer they do, the analyze image, photo, or mostly it's going to be the illustrations that they will be analyzing. And that's something we can do together as part of our classroom discussion. Again, there is some direct instruction here where I would talk to them about and just kind of facilitate and lead them into what they would need to respond. And words, yeah, vocabulary, and then to share out reflection they do. And here I'm starting to begin here with what we have here. Before starting the lesson, I would like to get students to talk about words they would use to express their feelings, words they would use to express good, words they would use to express bad. And here's a list here, and they're from the book. But I also wanted to include great, wonderful, awesome, good, and amazing. I've listed them here under what they actually aren't, and what the words mean and what they don't mean, just to give them a deeper understanding. And here's the questions to ask during our discussion. I won't read them all to you, but this is to get students thinking about why Alexander's having such a terrible day. And if you have read the book, he does encounter a lot of problems that impact how he feels about the day, and often mentions wanting to move to Australia. I guess he has an illusion that things will be better there because they're not here. But Alexander, I just love the story and I love the book. And here to engage again is going into what we would do at the beginning of the lesson. That should take about 10 minutes. And again, I won't read it all to you, but this is to get them thinking. And after the warm-up discussion that we have at the beginning, the students will participate in a read-along where I will read the story to them. And I will also ask for student volunteers to read as well, but I'm not going to put anyone on the spot that does not want to read aloud. I want to get to know my students and see who feels comfortable reading aloud and who doesn't, because I don't want to ever make a student feel uncomfortable. And here, explain, it says after the whole class reads the book, they will participate in a class discussion about the key terms that describe the mood and meaning, just as our standards suggest. And the turn and talk, they will share what it might mean to have a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. And that's something I'd like to have them say with me as we're talking about it, and allow them to give examples orally. And here for the turn and talk, you can see what are some of the events in the book that cause Alexander to feel like he's had a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, and what those words mean to the student, applying the prior knowledge, because everybody has had a bad day, so the student should be able to relate somewhat to Alexander and why he feels the way he feels. So then they have an understanding of what these words mean and how they would use them in their everyday life. In here, formative assessment. After the class discussion and the turn and talk activity, the students will complete their choice of the Frayer model or the semantic gradient. And the formative assessment, turn and talk, and summative assessment. And here the last part, the end, we would go over everything we've talked about and have some more discussion there. And then I would ask them to complete the exit ticket, which would be here as you can see in the instructions. Ask the students to take out a sheet of notebook paper and then tell them to write exit ticket at the top along with their name. And yes, third graders need to be reminded that their name has to be at the top of the paper. I've seen that happen in middle school and even some high school students need to be reminded to put their name on the paper. And then I would state that everyone has a bad day sometimes, and to think about a bad day that they have had recently. And then using the vocabulary words that they've learned from the book, write about their bad day. And I would require at least 3 sentences, and those students who need to give me their answers orally, I would encourage about that same amount of sentences, in which I would feel that I could dictate for them. And the follow-up is for students that need to be retaught the lesson. I would have them work in a small group and talk with one another, and after they have watched the short video from the Read With Me DVD, because there's actually a section here that reads through the entire book and it highlights the words as they're reading. I would allow them to complete the exit ticket again for a better grade. And I would also provide the list of vocabulary words and a dictionary if needed. And here again is the questioning and the linking theory to practice. It says here that I've written, everyone has had a bad day now and again. Students will relate to Alexander and his very bad day, and they will learn vocabulary in the story that they can use every day. And this story in the lesson works well with Skinner's behaviorism theory, because the students will relate to the external stimuli that Alexander encounters throughout the story, and there's a lot of it, and they will be able to use the vocabulary to write about their bad day. And so here are my references, and I will just click over here and show you my assessments. And this is the pre-assessment here, and you can see I have the questions, and I've also listed the words here from the word list. And I apologize, this is not working for me now for some reason. Oh my. Okay. Well, I will attach this document so that you all can see it, but it does have the pre-assessment, it has the summative assessments, it has the worksheets, the Frayer model, and everything needed for the students to complete. And I apologize for my problems here with this computer. It's been tough today. And that's all I have for you for today. Please message me if you have any questions, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much.